we're moving again. Because we bought a house! I want to talk about the lessons that I've learned over the past 8 months, really starting before we moved to Colorado. And this is going to have a lot to do with mindset and not resisting the process. So Lauren and I started joking about moving to Colorado, only like half joking. About 2 months after we started dating, we moved to Colorado. We actually arrived here at 6 months. Like our first full day in Colorado was our 6-month anniversary. Normally, moving that fast in a relationship is something that makes me incredibly uncomfortable. I am very slow and steady. I like my personal space. I tend to like a lot of alone time. So for me to really feel comfortable with moving forward with something that quickly with someone else is very atypical for me. Now, when we first started looking, if you followed any of the Colorado Chronicles, we came out here to look for a place in November. And we didn't have very much luck at all. We were trying to find a place to rent. The market was crazy, and we couldn't even get people to call us back. Things were moving so fast. So after 4 days in Colorado and only seeing 2 properties, we basically decided in December we were going to rent an Airbnb and move out here anyway and figure it out once we got here. That started quite the roller coaster road of a move that has lasted 7 months. By the time we close on this house, it'll be probably about 8 months. That has been very educating. And I want to talk about what I have really learned through this process. We had a goal to get our own place and settle in and start actually putting down some roots here. If you're not familiar with my history, I have moved a lot. On average, I've moved at least once a year since I joined the military. And that was in 2005. I went to boot camp. So I've moved a lot. This will be 3 moves in Colorado since December. So we moved to Colorado, to the Airbnb, into the place we're at now, and then to the house. Prior to that, I had 3 moves in the 2 years prior to us moving Colorado. So I have shuffled a lot, and I'm frankly sick to death of moving. You can see we still have tons of crap in boxes because as we get to the end of the story, I'll explain why that. So we really, really wanted to rent a place, and we had this vision in our head of what it should be. And as we were having very little luck finding that place, we got some advice from actually the person who was managing the Airbnb we were in. She recommended Facebook Marketplace. So we jumped on Facebook Marketplace, and within 1 day of looking on Facebook Marketplace, we had a place to live here. So it worked out really good. Once we sort of let go of how we had to get to our place, there were a lot more possibilities that were open to us, and it was actually really easy to find a place. Well, our move here was in partialness because we moved into an Airbnb. We left most of our stuff back in Virginia, and it took 2 trips to Virginia to get our stuff all sorted out. My truck is actually still in Virginia because she's really not cooperating. And the most recent trip to Virginia was in June. And the plan was rent a trailer, pack up my truck, and drive everything out. Well, that fell apart almost the second we got to Virginia. The DMV sent the wrong stickers for my truck, so I had expired plates. My truck decided to blow a fuel line, and now it looks like the tank has delaminated and the truck isn't getting fuel. So could not drive it to Colorado. Luckily, the truck helped us out because we didn't rent a trailer because there were no trailers available. When we were there in February, there was no problem finding a trailer. But in June, it was a completely different story. There wasn't a trailer anywhere available, so we couldn't rent one. So last minute, the week of 4th of July, we had to, the night before we flew out, arrange for pods so we could load all our stuff from our storage unit into the pods to have shipped out here. Arrange for a flight from the DC area to Colorado. It ended up being a 14-hour travel day because of planes, trains, and automobiles. And we ended up last minute having somebody cancel their pod at a shipping company, so we ended up being able to get 2 pods. So even though what we really, really, really wanted was to pack up my truck and get our stuff out here, we still got our stuff out here. We didn't get my truck, but the main objective of the move was to get the rest of our stuff here. And we managed to pull that out as soon as we stopped insisting that it had to be in my truck. So another example of stop being attached to how you achieve your goal. And I'm not saying like lie, cheat, and steal. I'm saying relax, stop resisting the things that are coming up and look at the things that are coming up and see how you can make them work for you. It was more expensive. It was significantly more expensive than we'd planned. But even though it was more expensive because money had started to become kind of a concern, we started looking at other ways to make money besides just simply getting a job. And every time we've had a money issue come up with a little bit of resourcefulness, we've managed to address that problem. And now we're doing better than when we moved here. So again, because I had in my head, I had to make money in this one particular way. This is the only place that I'm gonna make money. Instead of looking at the options that are available, different ways that I could bring income into myself, I'd like locked myself into this mindset and was missing all kinds of opportunities that were around me because I was not relaxing into the process. I was resisting the process and trying to force it to be the way I wanted it to be. Same thing looking for houses. I mean, this market out here is bonkers, and we got a house within 2 weeks of looking. The second house we put an offer in, it worked out for us. And, you know, we'd seen quite a few houses at that point. We'd even put an offer in on another one, but we decided we weren't going to force anything that wasn't right. And we flexed and bent as much as we could, and we ended up getting the second house, the one that we really, really wanted, actually. And again, that's because even though when we got told we had to move out of here to like 4 days after the last of our stuff got here, which, as I was saying, that's why all this stuff is still in boxes, because our stuff got here and then we got told our lease wasn't going to be renewed. So there was no point in packing anything. So it still feels a little bit like we're living in a storage unit, but it ended up working out because now we don't have to do too much packing to move out. You know, some people will call this manifestation, and you can call it whatever you want. But the more that Lauren and I have just sort of relaxed into things and worked with what we had instead of trying to force what wasn't there because we wanted it to be a certain way, the easier and less stressful things have been. The most stressful times have been when we're trying to force that things have to happen this way. We want this outcome. And it is definitely in your best interest to have an outcome that you would like, but definitely like think about what that outcome is, why you want it, and how that outcome benefits you. Is it just something that you want because you're hanging on to it and it doesn't serve you anymore? Or is it something that's really going to be the best for you? And the more we've tried to force things to be a certain way, the more stressed out we've been, the more unhappy we've been, and the more uncomfortable we've been. This whole trip has been about relaxing into the uncomfortable. And I say uncomfortable and not discomfort, because discomfort is stuff like cold, hot, in pain. In my mind, that's how I think of discomfort. Uncomfort I see is expanding your boundaries and doing things that are outside your normal mode of operation, things that you don't have enough experience with to just accept that they are what they are. And this has been 8 months of relaxing into the uncomfortable. However, at this point, we've both gotten very good at letting things happen and seeing where things go and working with things as they come up, rather than trying to create things that aren't presenting themselves. So in a situation where we both thought we would have a terrible time trying to buy a house, and also thinking that we were going to rent until we were in a better situation to buy, everything has worked out really well. One of the big things that I did that I'm really uncomfortable doing is I asked for help. And I mean, honestly, had I not asked for help, I don't know that we would have gotten this house. So that was a big thing for me. And for Lauren, you know, she proved that she can do this, and she doesn't need, like, she can do this on her own, because she has been a big part of why we were able to buy this house. She's sort of carrying things at the moment, and I am just assisting, which is a very uncomfortable position for me to be in. But because we were both willing to do that, things have worked out very well for us. So I think that's just, not that we're wrapping up Colorado Chronicles today, but just that learning to relax into an uncomfortable situation can really, really, really allow you to grow a lot and expand your capabilities and get more of the things you want. And personally, I would rather learn to deal with an uncomfortable situation than keep doing something that is really making me unhappy, something that has run its course and it's no longer serving me. And I'm just doing it because it's easier than moving on to the next thing. But that is an update on us and our move to Colorado. It is finally starting to settle down. We are finally going to be done moving after almost 8 months of moving. And thank you for joining us on this little trip. And there will be much more to come. But I just wanted to share how much I've learned in the past 8 months and how much I've grown as a person and the things that I am able to deal with, because I just learn to deal with them in a way that I normally wouldn't. You guys have a situation similar to this that you really grew from, that was really uncomfortable? Share them in the comments down below. If you liked the video, smash the thumbs up. If you know somebody that might get something out of this video, share the video with them. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Until next time, keep your life in motion.